Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm a guy called Joe, and this is Bootstrapping Tools Let's Build, where we build different products and features off of many different low-code applications so that scrappy bootstrappers and entrepreneurs like yourself can up their game, become more efficient and effective at whatever you're trying to accomplish. Now, before we dive into today's video, please make sure to check out our YouTube channel. We go through many different types of applications out there, from Retool to Google Sheets to Google App Scripts, as well as Data Studio and a bunch of others. If you don't see something that you're looking for, feel free to shoot an email over to feedback@bootstrapping.tools, and we'll take a look at that application and then make a video just for you. Now, today's video, we're actually going to be continuing our series for building out Retool and Airtable. This is actually part 7, so if you haven't seen any of the previous parts, please check out the description below for all the links to those different parts. We went through a lot of different features and techniques within Retool and connecting that to Airtable, so make sure to check out the earlier parts so that you can get caught up. Now, to do a real quick summary on what we've done, let's kind of take a look at our application today. What we have done in the past already in the previous videos was connect to Airtable, which, if you don't know what Airtable is, it's essentially a spreadsheet on steroids. Lots of different cool features on there, and we're actually using that as our database. So with that, we used an API to connect with the data, and then using Retool, which is a low-code application builder, drag and drop interface that lets you connect to databases as well as other data sets, including APIs. And we connected all that data to create this UI. So we have vendors on the side, or designers, and when we click on one of those, a component will show up to display all the furniture or products that are available underneath of that designer. Same thing goes when you click on the next one, it'll display all the ones over there. You also have a search functionality so that you can filter down what your results are real time just by a open text field. And then when you select one of these items, the feature information for each one will display here, and we created a nice tabs container to display all the information that we have. We also have an edit feature where we went through, I believe it was part 5, that we talked about pushing data into the API so that we can actually change things. Now, in the last video that we did, we actually went into components or custom components, and that's actually these guys over here. So this is actually custom React code that we built, and let's actually dive into the app now. Let's kind of show you what that looks like. So everything kind of defaulted. Let's just reselect all the items, and then we'll show you that custom component. We're actually going to be using the custom component today to accomplish what our image gallery is going to look like. So when we click on our custom component over here, on the right hand side, you'll see the iframe code. We pop that out. This is using simple React, and we're using grid list and grid list tile, which is for material UI. Material UI is just a component library. If you haven't used it before, I highly recommend it. One of the theories out there for design is that everybody should use the design system like material, but at the point that your users outgrow it, you should be willing to throw that design system out or build on top of it. So it's kind of like use it as like a nice framework, but don't use it as a Bible. But anyhow, back to the point here. What we're going to do is we're going to be building out the image gallery. So we're going to take all the images that we have and then display it in a nice little grid here. So we don't have a lot of photos right now, and this is actually doing it one by one. The Angular pendant does have a bunch of photos, so we can actually work off of this one. So let's click on that. It's going to display this. And what we're going to do is we can actually take the same code that we had here with the grid list and everything, and then we're just going to, instead of doing a span and a paragraph element, we're going to do an image element. Let's go back into our image gallery here, and then we can actually delete this guy. We're going to replace this with a custom component. So search for custom, drag that in. You can make this larger. You can actually fill up the entire space here. So this actually doesn't need to be this wide. You can make this all about the same height. Nice and pretty. Okay, so custom component 3. Let's pop out the code. Now what we're going to do, if you remember from the last part, all we basically did was we removed the card, we created a div out of it, and then we put in the grid list as well as the grid list tile, which is essentially the thing or the element that we're going to be using to display the information in a map format so that it's dynamic and it'll change depending on whichever product that we're selecting. So what we're actually going to do here is let's remove some of this. So we don't need all of this information. We're going to do div, and then we're going to close that div out just to start off. And the reason you do that is because in React you have to pass through, you can only return one object. It can't be two of them, so it has to be one, so we'll just wrap it in a div element. And then instead of button, card, and card content, we're going to do grid list tile. And then also I mentioned that we're going to be doing images, so we're going to do image, which is img. Okay, so from there, what we're going to do is grab some of the information. We're going to create the code here for this. So underneath of div, we're going to do grid list, and grid list is just going to be the starter point there. And then underneath of grid list is going to be grid list tile, and then underneath of that is going to be image. So we can just kind of scaffold this out for ourselves here, kind of prepare it, set it all up for success, and then we'll plug everything in as soon as we're done. Okay, all right, so let's align this a little better. All right, so for images, I think this is a lowercase I. So for images, what we need is a source or src, and then we're going to set this equal to the tile.url. If you remember from the last part, we actually passed the information through the modal or the model, and that'll be what actually gives us the information that we need in order to render everything. So we can actually go in here, just do a comma. This is just typical JSON. So we'll say images. And from here, it's going to be furniture, click handler.data. And we can do .0 first. We'll do fields.images. Okay. And from here, we'll switch this back to I to represent the thing that we actually click on so that it's dynamic and changes. So once we have this, underneath the grid list, similar to what we did before, we're actually going to do a map function. So we're going to go into the model, we're going to go to images, and then we're going to say map. And now what we're going to do with the map is we're going to say for each one, we're going to call it a tile, just to make it easy. And we're going to do a fat arrow function. And within this fat arrow function, put this in, and this will take all of this, so we can cut that and just paste it right in here. And as you can see on the right, it's already starting to display. Perfect. So we have 4 images total for this pendant, for this lighting pendant, and it's already displaying, which is perfect. So there's a couple of different options. As you remember from before, for the grid list, we can set the cell height, and we can also set the spacing and everything, so that we can curate exactly how this is going to look. So why don't we set the height to 300? Let's see how that looks. It looks pretty decent. And then we can set spacing to, let's say 10. Give everything a little room to breathe. Maybe 20. Let's say 10. And then we can also set up the columns. So if we wanted to only do one column, it'll just stack one on top of the other. We can look through like this. Or if we wanted to do what we were doing before, we can do it to 2. We can also do it to 3 if we wanted to. But I think the one column was actually kind of nice. It just kind of lets us display all the images in a nice big fashion. Hey, let's increase the spacing a little bit. Let's just do 15. So from there, we could add a little bit of styling to it, but I think right now this is looking pretty good. So let's actually hit done. and collapse this so we can actually take a look at what this looks like in full. So let's click on the Ikorori chair, the image gallery. There's only one image, so that's fine. We go to the angular pendant. You can see that it has all the pictures displayed. Don't actually have a lot of images right now since this is sample data, but I did put a little bit more for the data side table as well. And we can see here that it's giving us the information. So let's preview this. Since we were in the editor, it might look a little strange. Just go back, make sure that the experience is exactly what we want it to look like. So go to Design, and then Angular Pendant, and then we're going to go to Image Gallery. It looks nice, very pretty. Let's go to Box and Cask. Click on the data side table, Image Gallery, boom. Very nice, very pretty, and everything else still works. So that's basically it for image galleries. What we're going to do before we sign off here is we're just going to clean up everything. So you noticed before we had orders and we had that orders table. So we're just going to move that table into the container, that tab container, so that everything is displayed in there. And then all we'll have on the upper right for a button is the edit button. So we have the orders here. You can actually click on this to open up table. I'm going to copy this and then clicking out of it, click in here, just paste that. So now the invoices are over there. You can actually remove this. We don't need this anymore. Just to make sure it works, click on the Madrid chair and we should see invoices located right in here. Perfect. So you can actually make this a little smaller now so that it all fits nicely. That's essentially it. So we can also reorder some of this stuff too. It doesn't have to be. But then again, the specs, if you have more information, it's great. You can utilize all the room that we have here. We don't have that much room, so that's all the information that we actually put in there. Over here, looks like we have a little bit more room that we can use. So let's drag this down. Just a touch. I guess it doesn't want to get dragged down. Sometimes this happens with Retool. That's also just how it is with any drag and drop application. It's a little wonky sometimes, but that's fine. Okay, cool. Well, that's it now for this. Let's do one quick run through of it and review exactly what we did here. So we have our designers, we click on them, we go to one of our products here, and we click on that. This displays all the information and the rich features that we have. We see what colors are available. We see what it's good for. These options are all dynamic, so that as you switch around or you click around the different products, it's going to automatically update and then also adjust its size so that it displays nice and comfortably for the user. And now we also just added in an image gallery, which will also adjust itself in size depending on whatever you're selecting, and it'll display dynamically so that you get all the images displayed in that nice gallery. And then we just move the orders in place, which is still using the same invoice option, which looks like we actually broke that. Let's go back and clean that up. Yeah, that actually makes sense. It probably broke when we copied and pasted it. But that's okay. That's a real quick fix. Let's go back over to orders here. Go into that table. Oh, we got to pick one that actually has a value. So Madrid chair. So we open this up, this invoice. And then we need to make sure that this information is still available. So client data. It looks like client orders is not available. Let's see. What did we run here? Ah, table 1 is no longer available. We need to change this to table 2. Okay, there we go. Select this, 0, invoice, 0 dot URL. All right, there we go. And while we're here, we might as well change this up a little bit. And this looks pretty good. Okay, that looks good. So we could actually make this bigger if we wanted to. It just depends on how we might want to do that. We could always add in a modal and then just have this trigger the opening and closing of that modal. I think this is fine for now. People will just download it, but we can, if you are interested in seeing how that's done, leave a comment below, and then I'll make a video specifically about how you can customize modals for tables so that you can adjust the size, have a little bit more freedom with that. But outside of that, this is basically it for this part. We did an image gallery, we just fixed the orders table, and then we rearranged some of the information on there to make it a little prettier. So now we're working with pretty much a full-fledged app. In the next part, we're going to dive into a little bit of a bonus feature, which is going to be putting in a map here. Remember, there is a contact section with an address, so it'd be nice to see how far that location is or where that location is on the map. Of course, if you do run into any issues, feel free to leave a comment in the section below. We're happy to help you guys figure out whatever type of burdens or bumps that you're hitting when trying to build out this app in Retool. Otherwise, if you did like the video, please make sure to hit that like button. It's the easiest way to help support the channel. And also, the more likes that this video gets, other bootstrappers and scrappy, people just like yourself will be able to find this video easier when they search for things similar to what you were just searching for. And of course, this is part 7. We got at least one more part coming through where we'll be talking about the maps and displaying that on Retool. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and also the bell so you get notified of when the next video gets released. But outside of that, I'm a guy called Joe. This is Bootstrapping Tools Let's Build, where we've been talking about Retool and Airtable. In the next video, we'll see you then. And we're out.